Good evening, Rick, and thank you so much for coming to do this.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. This was great fun looking at all of these images. Um,
Excellent.
people submitted things that covered the pretty much the entire gamut of things that I had hoped for, and a few things that I hadn't even thought about.
That's the impression I got. I've heard rumors of a few of the things that were coming into the competition, but I haven't. I looked at them yesterday long enough to move them into a file, but I didn't open them. I didn't. I need to get my spectacles. What we're going to do, by the way, guys, here is Rick has already been through these with a fine tooth comb. I've just had a gander at them a while ago. Rick's the judge. I'm just here to irritate him while he judges and look at the pictures and enjoy them. So I think what you said was, Rick, we're going to start at a very good but not quite the winning end of the spectrum, and then head up towards the victor. Is that
Right, right. I thought we'd just sort of do a countdown to the greatest hits.
I think we should then, and we're going to talk about all of them, right? All the entries.
Yeah, that's what I'm set up to do.
Then I am all ears. It is over to you. Why don't you take the screen, and I'm ready. Ah,
And almost the same technique. This one appears to have been about 1 degree per uh, per stack, with a separation of 8 within the sequence, so about 8 degrees.
boy, there's a lot of hair detail on that.
There is a lot of detail, and this is a case where if it's not moving, then the stereo lets me see the structure a lot better, even though, of course, this is a flaw. I already know what the structure looks like, but I can perceive it a lot better with the stereo than I can in a static image. Once I click the play button, then the stereo continues to be a nice stereo when it starts moving, but the moving image, not viewed in stereo, becomes a lot more clear for what the structure is.
Yeah, it doesn't add much. In other words,
Exactly. The stereo is not adding much here.
yeah, it is the motion, isn't it? I mean, we interpret a rotating subject as having depth. I mean, that's kind of what we smooth it into, isn't it?
We do, yes. And I'm not sure if it is really known yet where in the brain those two interpretations happen. Uh, Stereo is well understood. That's basically done with some correlators along horizontal lines back in the visual cortex. Where depth from motion parallax gets inferred, uh, I I don't know if that's well understood yet. It could be using some of the same mechanisms, or it could be something totally different. Unfortunately, we are not consciously privy to the operations of our own heads.
No, speak for yourself, but no.
I'm pretty sure I would be appalled if I were.
I think this must be the same person, because this fly is also almost perfect in its preparation. It's been around a while, though. It's been dead for a while.
Yeah, it's clear from the proboscis of this thing that it's desiccated.
It's Leroy Harding. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Fly
no
head,
surprise.
about 6,520 photographs taken at 163 different angles, 40 per stack.
Okay,
So 40 times 163. That's a lot.
yeah, it is a bunch.
Yep. I have done that same foolishness of made pictures that big, and they're hardly ever worth it. This is definitely worth it. Nice job. It's mummified, though. I guess you couldn't get a fly to stay still for 6,250 photographs were it anything but mummified.
Let me play this again. It may not be as mummified as you think.
I'm
Pay
looking.
attention. Pay attention to the backward to the farther back palp.
Okay. I am looking at the way its shoulder is separating into two pieces, though.
Did you see it pop up there?
I did. It's, I wrote that off as being angle of the camera changing when I first saw it, but it does appear to pop up. Yep.
Yeah, I get it as actual moving. The first time I saw it was only at the very end of the video, and I thought because it was at the very end of the video that it had been thrown in as sort of a little bit of a trailer. This is what could go wrong. And then I replayed the video, and the same thing happens right here at the beginning, right
Yeah,
there.
right there. But that could be any number of things. Remember, this is in between stacks, so that fly has moved or the camera has moved.
Yeah, well, the bulk of the fly's head does not change. It's not like the fly suddenly nods its whole head. The fly's head stays in one place and only that pelt moves
Right.
right there.
It's small enough and delicate enough, and if it's desiccated, a breeze could do that.
Yeah, we don't know the cause. All we know is something did it.
Yeah, it's successful. It's a lot of work. Well done, Leroy. Gosh, that is a lot of work.
So then, moving on.
Have a guess what number you're on. Oh, I like this one. I had the hardest time. I thought this was a chocolate cake, one of those
Uh, uh,
volcano cakes.
we're on number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
So that makes this a yeah.
So this score is very high uh, because of all of the things we've talked about.
Yep.
Without the glasses, I have a pretty good idea, I think, of what this thing is structured like, but I have to think about it. And when I put on the glasses, I immediately see it and I observe that my inferences were not quite correct.
Yep. Mine weren't either. Those spherical beads of metal or whatever they are on the spark surface, I did not see those coming.
Isn't that interesting detail?
That is fantastic.
And these fibers, I assume the fibers were something that got added later after the spark plug was taken out of service. It's hard to imagine those things surviving
Yeah. That's what he
combustion
treated it with.
chambers.
Are those colors real, Rick? Are
Yeah,
they?
I assume those are oxidation colors.
Oh, wow.
There's no way I can know for sure, but they sure look like the same colors I've seen a lot of my own stuff that has gotten hot.
That is really otherworldly looking. I did not look at this close up, but that is beautiful. Wow. It's a little out of focus. There's a little motion blur in there, and
Well,
none of it
we're
hurts.
we're zoomed into 176%
Oh,
at this
oh,
point. So yeah, we're
count. And okay.
no surprise that we're seeing some fuzz. Yeah, so here's some structure that I think is artificial. This looks like a depth mapper amp as opposed to a real physical structure. I suspect there's a fiber that comes out here,
Now, how is it where it passes over that sphere? How does it make that sphere look concave?
right here.
Yeah.
Well, I can think of two possibilities. Possibility number one is it's a shadowing effect of some sort. Possibility number two is it's really concave.
There you go. The only one though. No, there's one at the top that is as well. Oh,
Can't tell. It's a good
can't.
question. It certainly, you know,
I know.
I don't have enough stereo to be sure about it. Um, but from doing the shape from reflections and shading thing, I can't figure out how that could be anything except depression.
Well, I have no prior knowledge of what happens at the contact point in a spark plug that could cause this, but it is intriguing. I mean, this will. And what is the granular surface of that copper appearing plate at the top? Is that the other electrode?
It is the other electrode. As for what that granular appearance actually is, I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to research that because that's amazing. I saw none of that coming from the picture.
Yep. Now some of that um, we could maybe get by zooming in on a single view. I mean, if I take my glasses off and I hold up a hand so I can only see one of the pair, and I zoom in, uh, nope, I'm not seeing the
Don't
structure.
see it. You see a couple of big balls on it, but I don't see any of the super fine detail. That
Yeah, I've got without the stereo, I have no understanding of structure at this point.
yeah,
Just zero. But gosh, I've just put my glasses back on, and it feels so good when it stops hurting.
yeah,
I can see depth again.
yeah, and even that fuzzy a bit of artifact or fuzz hair doesn't look abnormal in stereo. It just looks like a piece of cotton got caught on the end of it while it was being cleaned.
Yeah, which is probably exactly what happened. So this is very, very successful. You know, maybe a little bit of depth map ramping, but I don't see any layer separation in this, which would be I would expect obvious on these smoothly curved surfaces.
Well, let me see
So
whose entry it was because this is a definite honorable mention. Faux show. That was T-Beck. So that is impressive. T-Beck was also
it
our
was the Weevil, right?
yep. So
Okay.
that's two fantastic pictures, T-Beck. Well done. This one I love. It makes me want to photograph a spark plug, but I don't think I have one. I might take one out of my neighbor's lawnmower. They use spark plugs, right? Yeah.
It depends. Some of the new ones use batteries, but we hope that they don't exhibit any of this sparking appearance.
No. Is this abnormal, do you suppose? Or is this
The
normal?
appearance of this one,
Yeah.
I have not looked at a lot of spark plugs, but the few that I have looked at are consistent with this.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I always just assumed they would just be colored metal, not fur balls, but there you go. I'll look it up. Very strange consistency to the metal of the electrode on the top. It looks almost like it has fur. Is that just oxidation, do you think?
We're talking about this stuff around here, the
Yep.
main
Up
part of the
on top.
bulk. Yeah, I would think that would just be oxidation.
It's oddly not symmetrical, aligned. I don't, yeah. And
Yeah,
the bottom part is ceramic, so that would look completely different. Okay, interesting. Very good.
right, right.
We should be down to numero trace.
Number three, I believe, on the stereo's greatest hits.
That would be the bronze medal winner. Is this lichen or
I think it's mostly moss. This stuff down here in the middle strikes me as being lichen, and all of this green stuff up above it strikes me as being moss
mhm.
with sporangia. Which, by the way, when we zoom in,
Oh, wow, they're cool. Oh,
yeah, are they not cool?
they look at the little pot tops on them.
Yeah, yes, little pop tops indeed.
Who would have guessed? I didn't know those things were full of avocado stuff.
Apparently, avocado dip. Yeah, something like that,
You
or maybe a
know,
bunch of green colored spores.
I found a bunch of these things a couple of years ago and photographed them. They were in rows and they turned out to be the egg cases of stink bugs. But these are different. They
Yeah,
look almost identical though. The pale empty one at the bottom left does anyway. Fantastic.
and in this case, if I take my glasses away, I get such a sense of loss
Yeah,
that I just want to put the glasses right back on.
yeah, I agree. The greenery around the sporangia just becomes background without the glasses. That
Yes,
it becomes very much part of the action. Gosh, it's like there's a whole universe of busyness going on there.
I can spend many happy minutes zoomed in looking around this sort of imagery.
Yeah, this is very successful. I love the colors too. They're very natural looking. It would have been tempting to goose this a bit on the
On
on
saturation.
saturation, or probably not saturation, but probably on the vibrance.
Uh-huh.
It would have been temptation, but that hasn't been done here. These look very natural.
They do. They do. So here's a question for you. What do you think this white stuff is? My wife is totally convinced that it's snow. I just don't know.
No, I don't think it's snow. Oh, it could be now. Look at the yellow parts. It's kind of piled up on there.
Yeah, just a little bit. I just don't know. It seems like it's either that or some fungal thing.
Well, you would expect the snow to be also on top of the flat parts of the pots as well. And
Yep.
it, um,
And
let
yet, then we get down in here.
ain't no snow down there.
Well, I would there's a bunch of white stuff lying on top of things.
Yeah, you're right.
So
There
I
is.
just don't know. I just don't know.
I think that I need to ask the person who took this picture if that's snow.
There you go.
And I think for some reason that this was Larry. Yeah, it was Larry. The lichen and moss on tree bark. Well done, Larry. That's two very interesting photographs. Those just look amazing. That looks like an insect Christmas tree with those little things sprouting out of it. Very
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, one thing that is a little bit of a problem with this image is this thing in the middle, which looks like some sort of a bizarre depth map artifact. Um, I don't know. I see indications all through here that this stereo was done with a DMAP or its equivalent in some other tool, and this sort of swirly banding looks like what I see sometimes with DMAPs that have a problem tracking the physical surface.
But but why just there? Why would
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
it
My
looks
my
like
best my
sorry.
best guess would be that there's something like a blob of water there in
Uh,
the original, and it's the combination of the actual appearance and is driving the algorithm nuts.
it looks like the same structure as the thing at 1 o'clock above it. Um, an empty, yeah, that one. And it looks like it's just at an angle and possibly has moved during the photograph. Or, but yeah, water drop sounds even better.
A case where going back to the original imagery would probably yield some insight about that.
Hmm. If it changed during the sequence.
Or if in an individual frame without any of the complexity added from the stacking, maybe it would be clear that, oh yeah, that's a water drop.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, marvelous structure in this thing. Have it described in my notes as a bit of a sleeper because when you see just one of the images as mono covering the full frame, you sort of wonder just how interesting is this thing going to be anyway.
That's
And
what
then
when I looked at it.
and then you see it in stereo, and you have an opportunity to zoom in, and those questions go away.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. That seems to be a recurring theme that
Yep, it is a recurring theme, and it's one that has recurred to me for about the last 30 years. So the next one up, number 2 on our list,
Silver
i-
medalist.
is another one of these sleepers.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Oh, oh. Now
You
this.
look at this. You look at this. Well, first off, I displayed this on one of my paper matched monitors, and it's very dark on that monitor. But um, but when brightened up, or when looked at as I am now on my much brighter laptop at the default settings,
Um,
apparently for some gamer, it looks much brighter. Nonetheless, it's boring, it's uninteresting, it's confusing. It's like, why are you showing to me this? The thumbnail would get it rejected from any competition immediately.
then you put the glasses on.
And then you put the glasses on.
Boy,
Oh, look at that. It's a blue flower with petals and stamens and oh wow, look at how all this stuff is put together.
it is amazing. I was not expecting this. I saw this and I thought, well, I don't know how much better that could look just by being. It's completely different. Wow, you feel like you're moving right through those.
Yes, enormous sense of presence,
Yeah,
really, really good separation. Uh,
I
the
think that.
usual collection of artifacts, but none of them that make me think I'm being confused about the structure.
I think the low light actually helps with the moodiness of this, the kind of labyrinthine,
I agree.
cryptic feel.
I agree. Once you get past the point of being able to actually see what's in here
Uh huh. Wow.
and make sense of it, which I cannot do effectively from a mono view. I take away the glasses and I want to move on to the next image. I put the glasses back on. Nope, nope, not time to move on yet. I want to look around some more in this one.
Yeah, it's very clever, and I like the way he's subtly lit it so you're getting the light right where you need it to show the three dimensionality of the stamens or anthers, whatever they are. The the catching the light just at the tips
Yeah,
very makes them stick out in your face. Nice job, B Tom. It's
I'm
a
quiet because I'm having so much fun looking at this image right now.
it's a wild cornflower, 1.2 times magnification, 68 images, manual rail, a Nikon 50 millimeter 1.8 frontwards. How interesting. That's a very basic, well shot stack.
It is.
Well, I would not have guessed from the non stereo images that that was going to be at the top of the stack, but I certainly see it now.
Likewise. I showed this one to my wife. She had the same experience that you and I are having. When I set the screen, the picture in front of her initially with no glasses, I could sort of watch her face, and it's like, okay, why are you bothering to show me this? And I handed her the glasses and said, "And here is your transporter." And she put them up and she looked at the picture. She said, "I see what you mean. I'm now in a different place."
Yep. That's very much describes the experience. And what can possibly have out stereoed this? I don't know because I've thought I've seen every entry. What?
Ah, but you have not quite. I have one more for you.
All right. Oh, oh,
Poppy seeds.
I remember this. I remember.
Now, now the very cool thing about this is it's a nice image in mono.
Yes, it
It's
is.
fun to look at. It has interesting shapes, it has interesting colors, it has interesting textures. You think,
Can't be much more.
can't be much more. And then you put on the glasses
Yeah,
and the 3D structure jumps out at you, and you suddenly realize you were missing so much
yeah.
in the mono.
the cashew shapes of these things that are on end,
Yep,
totally lost in mono.
exactly. I take away the glasses and I lose it again. I can see, yes, okay, there's one on its side here that has a curved shape of some sort, but how that fits together with
Uh,
all of these other shapes I see, I cannot tell.
yeah.
And I put the glasses on and boom, now I understand.
You know what makes this even better for me is the fact that the author of this points out that this is actually still on the bagel, that the substrate there is bagel.
The bagel! I was wondering what the substrate was.
It's an actual bagel. Poppy seeds on a breakfast roll.
This is another one of these cases where I put the image in front of my wife, and she looked at it and said, "I've never seen poppy seeds look like that before. This is really very interesting." And then I gave her the transporter glasses, and she too had the experience. Whoa! So that's what they're shaped like.
That's amazing. This was shot with an EL Nikkor 50, by the way, f2.8N.
Okay. And I'm going to strongly guess that it's a an analog two viewpoint stereo as opposed to synthetic stereo.
Two separate stacks of 35 shots,
Yep.
combined with stereo photo maker.
Yep. The reason in this case for that inference is threefold. One is an absence of any shift artifacts. Second is that I can see some details of the reflections that are obvious in one side and totally not present in the other. And there is a section at upper left, which is clearly out of focus background, but retains variable depth in that region.
It does. This makes me want to actually do some standard stereo
Some
work.
true stereo, yes. Some
This has a painterly quality to the photograph that is quite unique.
yes.
And of course, the colors are perfect for this. Beautiful. Good.
So here we have a stereo pair that looks good in mono. It looks good as a thumbnail. It has all of the standard fine arts characteristics, colors, textures, contrasts, and in addition, when you put on the stereo glasses and fuse it up,
It
boom, a whole bunch more information flows into your eyes and overwhelms you. It's
is
got everything.
that is a winning photograph right there. Well done, Gerald. I don't think we've met, have we? Gerald H. That is the new name to me. Well, Gerald, congratulations. You have won. What has he won, sir?
I believe that you and I decided the prize would be a full license for Zareen Stacker. And if you already have a license, you can buy one for somebody else. If neither of those applies, please contact us and we will figure out something appropriate.
You also are getting a pair of these only with the ear things still attached. Your stereo viewers. You have a new pair. That's your second prize. And this was made in Stereo Photo Maker, so he might not have Zerine yet.
Oh, it could be. But, anytime you shoot two view stereo, you really need to run the images through Stereo Photo Maker to fix up the geometry. It's almost impossible to get the geometry perfect uh, straight out of camera. In
Okay.
fact, it's so almost impossible I wouldn't even attempt it.
What does it exactly do? What does the program?
Stereo Photo Maker looks at the content of both images. It identifies matching feature points
Oh,
as if it were going to do, say, a stitched panorama. So it identifies, okay, this little fleck at this place corresponds with this little fleck in this other image. And it does that for several hundred points. And then it goes through and it figures out what combination of shift, rotate, scale, and keystoning it needs to do to both images in order to make them match up perfectly so there are no vertical disparities. Geometrically correct stereo has only horizontal disparities. And it's a very interesting feature of the mathematics that it's even possible to do what Stereo Photomaker does. But lo and behold, it turns out it is possible to make everything match up by adjusting a relatively few parameters if you can properly identify correct matching points, corresponding points, and if you don't have too much lens distortion to deal with. If you have barrel or pincushion distortion in your lenses, then you have to back that out first. I don't know whether Stereo Photomaker does that. I suspect it does.
Would an alternative be to watch my video and just make a telecentric lens and be done with it?
Well,
Probably.
that would actually help quite a bit in some respects. But it would still leave you with the potential of some rotations or little vertical offsets that you wouldn't perhaps even notice
Yeah.
that Stereo Photomaker would find and fix for you.
But Stereo Photomaker doesn't do the stacking for you.
Not at all. It only does the matching and correcting of image pairs that are presented to it.
Well, I think it did a spectacular job with those poppy seeds. That was a most entertaining set of photographs, I must say. And I learned a lot from watching them. You described them.
I don't know if you've noticed the clock. Look at the time of day.
I never noticed the clock. Oh, my clock is broken. It says it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we've been at this for like 2 hours and 48 minutes.
Okay, that's going to be some editing, but that's okay. There's nothing but solid gold in there. I might not edit it because people are going to want to hear this. This is everything about stereo. I'll decide. That can be my job tonight.
There you go. You figure it out and do whatever seems to you like the right thing.
I will. But thank you for doing this, and thank you for giving us the prize for Gerald. And Gerald, get in touch with me so I can get your prizes to you. And everybody else, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it through 3 hours, you get an honorary pin of some kind that I'll design. Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Alan. This was great fun.
It
Wonderful
was.
stuff.
Thank you.